Hello, this is Susan Poss. I am answering a question from one of my students on factoring a trinomial. This trinomial has a lead coefficient of 1, which makes it one of the easier types to handle. When you get to the ones where the lead coefficient is not 1, it's a little bit more complicated, lengthy process. All right, so with this one, what you want to do is first of all look through and see if you see a common factor, a greatest common factor, and I don't. Every term, two of the terms have an M, but the third term does not, and two of the terms have an N, but the first term does not, and of course 6 and 8 have a factor of 2 in common, but 1 does not, so there is no GCF for this one. So the way you begin is you go down to this last coefficient, which is a positive 8. You see I've written the positive 8 over at the top of the little chart that I'm going to create. And I'm calling attention to the fact that it's a positive value on that 8, because that tells me that when I come in here to these two parentheses, these are both going to either both be minus signs or they're both going to be plus signs. So that's an important little indicator to look out for, is check the sign of that third term. That tells you the two signs are going to be alike. So now I'm thinking through all the ways I can factor 8. And the first way is 1 times 8, and the second way is 2 times 4. And 3 doesn't work, and when I get to 4, that turns around and is 4 times 2, so I know I'm finished. But to talk about signs here, I'm going to write these pairs of factors in here 2 times and show you that I can either make them both positive, that multiplies to give me a positive 8, or I can make them both negative, that still multiplies to give me a positive 8. Same thing on these two numbers. They can either both be positive or they can both be negative. So now what you want to do is, as you look at that chart, you want to focus your attention on this coefficient on the middle term. I see a positive 6, and when I go over here and look at my chart, I see a positive 2 and a positive 4, which will add up to a positive 6. So that's the choice I'm going to make. But what you're trying to do here is to get two things that will multiply to give you the thing at the top of the chart, and those same two things then should add to give you the middle term in the trinomial, the coefficient on the middle term. All right, so I think I'm ready for the double parentheses. This m squared, you're going to separate it out and put one factor of m in each of the parentheses, and then the positive 2 and the positive 4. And you notice how I left just a little bit of space in here after the 2 and after the 4. Because there is an n variable on the last term, I'm going to insert an n on each of those terms in the last position. All right, so now I'm going to do a check. That is my factored answer, but here comes my check, because I want you to see how the double variables m and n work out. Okay, so I'm doing first times first is m squared. Outside is 4mn. I'm going to put those in alphabetical order. Inside is positive 2mn. And last times last is positive 8. Whoops, not m squared, 8n squared. And now you see these two in the middle that match up. So we're going to combine those. And this 8n squared doesn't have a mate, so we will just copy him down. And you can see from my check that that takes me right back to the original trinomial. So I hope that helps, Rhonda. If it's not helping, send me another question.